Right, so welcome everyone. This is the Resurrecting a Blissful Marriage When Hope is Gone webinar. And Andy and I are so excited for our guests that are here tonight, and we'll be doing it a little bit interview style. I'm going to just go ahead and first of all remind everyone, if you're just joining us, please go ahead and just mute your microphone on your laptop or computer, iPhone, whatever you might be on. Or if you're on the telephone, go ahead and press mute on your phone as well. That way we won't get any feedback for the recording, and you'll have a clearer audio of your presenters here. So I'm going to just introduce my husband and I really quickly first. Actually, I got to steal this paper from him. So I'm Jennifer Jones-Smith, and I'm a best-selling author, speaker, and a certified energy healing practitioner. And my husband, Andy, here, I'm so glad we're here together. He's an inspiring speaker, and he's a healing mentor with over 5 decades of life experience. And we are both certified in the Eternal Warrior Self-Mastery Training. And we've actually been best friends for about 39 years, married for 30 years, and we have 6 wonderful children and 8 beautiful grandchildren. And as marriage mentors at Be the True You Marriage Academy, we help married couples uncover the source of conflict and contention to emotionally heal, connect, and create rock-solid relationships. And we're just thrilled to have our friends Sean and Carol White here today, and to have them share from their vast experience of marriage as well. And they're also coaches and mentors to help strengthen you in your marriage. And so my husband's going to go ahead and introduce them and get us going.
So yes, again, welcome. And I am really excited that I have the privilege to introduce Sean and Carol, because I've had occasion to be with them 2 or 3 times, and it is always a warm and inspiring experience. So I am really grateful that they can be here with us and do this together. It's going to be a great, fun learning experience for all of us. So let me just tell you, Carol is the mother of 4 adult children and 5 beautiful grandchildren. I just about said great-grandchildren.
No, not yet.
Grandchildren.
No, I'm not old yet.
4 adult children, 5 grandchildren.
I held my age well, right?
Yes. So, her and Sean are the co-owners of Stillwater Experiences and create healing retreats for individuals and families. They mentor and speak on overcoming addictions and trials while strengthening relationships and keeping marriages intact. Very important. Carol is currently writing her story on overcoming adversity. She loves mentoring women on how to increase their personal value and see the power in feminine-masculine union. She's excited to share what she has learned with all of us. Sean grew up in a family where he endured a lot of severe physical and emotional abuse. At the age of 14, when he had lost all hope of making it in this world, he was given a near-death experience. This experience shaped his life and gave him the strength to overcome the trials and addictions that he would struggle with for many years. At the near loss of their 27-year marriage, Sean's walk with the Savior gave him the hope needed to hang on when all seemed to be lost. He now uses his experiences to lighten individuals' loads and give them new hope. Sean's greatest joy comes from taking people up into the mountains on retreats and watching them as they shed their shells and find new inner peace and healing. Sean is a trailblazer and a mentor and loves sharing what he has learned. Sean and Carol have been married now for 33 years, and they have gone through many challenging trials. And in fact, in 2009, they were on the verge of divorce. But woohoo, 7 years later, they're together. They fought, they conquered, they won. And fortunately for them and for us as well, that they are here to share that experience and all that they gained from that. And so I know that with Sean and Carol, much of what they do is at sacrifice to their own personal schedules and comforts. So thanks again for being here, and we're excited to hear. So let's just get started. I'll let you two decide who goes first. We can always say Sean's a gentleman and ladies first, or Sean's going to be the leader and protector and he's going to go first. I think in this case, either way is fine. But let's just let you get started with, just describe to us what it was like in the very beginning, how you met and got things started as a family, and what all that was like for you.
Well, I went down to Rick's College. I carefully planned out which school to go to because there were 3.5 girls to every guy. I figured I couldn't lose. And met Carol the first night we were there and didn't think I had a chance in the world of getting with her. But in 6 weeks, I called my parents up and said, do you want to meet me at the Jordan River Temple in December? I'm getting married. And I had to keep asking, are you guys on the phone? And they're like, well, give us a chance to pick ourselves up.
Yeah, so I had moved in my second year of college. I went with my roommate over to his house, which there's a funny story behind that because my roommate had lived in Idaho all her life, and Sean's grandparents lived in Idaho. So Sean used to go visit Idaho, and she was in the ward that his grandparents were, and he had his eye on her. so he comes to college, and the first people he meets is me and her. And now she's got her eye on him. She never noticed him before, but she's got her eye on him. But he had his eye on me at that point, so it was too late. But yeah, so we had a very quick romance into marriage very quickly. Kind of a surprise to a lot of people. My best friend growing up was friends with his parents, so they were calling them to make sure I was a good girl. And I was a good girl. Probably one of the best girls we had.
Yep.
You agree, right?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah. So we were married. We met in August, right? And then we were married by December 11th.
Yeah.
And everything kind of started from that point. So.
Yeah.
Very good. So that was a quick meeting, engagement. What is that word? The time, courting, the courtship. That's the time between the first date and the marriage. So yeah, that was a pretty short length of time in comparison, I think. So what about the first few years of marriage? Did that go well? I mean, everybody experiences that blissful marriage for different periods of time. I mean, I've met people who actually within hours their marriage bliss was over, and then others it goes for years and years. So where do you fall in those two extremes there?
Yeah.
Well, if we went to the ranch and Carol wasn't, she'd always lived in the city and I'd been from the country and worked hard, on beekeeping and stuff. And with the ranch, I was gone all the time, and it was kind of like, wasn't it Camille Kimball said she cried every night?
Yeah. It was hard because we got married and we lived in student housing, and that was okay. But then we moved to the ranch, and it was out in the middle of nowhere. I had always, to me, a small town was 60,000. To Sean, a small town was like 2,000.
200.
200. So here I am out in the middle of nowhere, and he's working every night. And I'm putting it on the oven, and then he's still not home. It was from sun up to sundown. He was gone because that's the way ranchers and farmers do things. They're gone all day. So I knew no one, and I was home all by myself. I didn't have a job yet. So that was really hard, just trying to adjust to being married, no kids, and no husband. And back then you didn't have cell phones. So we had huge phone bills, and that caused a lot of problems. $400 for the phone bill? Are you kidding me? You can imagine back then. That was
right. Yeah.
So yeah, it starting off, things started to get hard. When you start having to face the reality of you're not with your friends, you're not with your family, you're out by yourself, you have a whole different lifestyle, and it's hard.
We realized with the two different backgrounds that we handled problems in a different way. Her family got loud, and if mine got loud, it was really scary. So,
Yeah, because his dad, when he yelled, that meant life or death, literally at times, because his dad would beat him. And for me, that was, I need to be heard. Are you hearing me? So that was a hard conflict too, was just understanding the different perspectives of, he's soft-spoken, and a lot of people don't think I'm could ever be loud, but I can be loud. I can be loud. So I'm a lot better now, but when I got upset, I got loud, and that was hard for him. So yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk a minute about some of the early signs that you have noticed about the marriage bliss was wearing thin and things weren't like you had hoped. I know that for a lot of people, you might even miss the early warning signs. We just don't even recognize what they are and that there is anything. And for other people who are kind of recognizing that something's not right, they're probably thinking, well, this is just normal. It's nothing to worry about. And those who think, well, this is something I should worry about, they worry about it, but they don't know what to do. They don't know what can be done to make it any better. And so you just kind of hang in there and persist. So looking back on what you went through, what can you share with everyone? What did you learn looking back? What are the early warning signs and what can we do about it?
I think some of the very first early warning signs were just a lack of communication. We weren't communicating, and we weren't spending time with each other. We were very separated from the very beginning. Of course, like I said, he was working, and then he would come home and he'd climb in bed and go to sleep. And it was, where are you? So there was very little to no communication. And not doing things with each other, not taking time to do dating or to, how they say you should do a date night. There was not those things. It was him working and me just trying to survive.
if we had spent more time, even having scripture time in the morning, or just a time when we would talk about things, we feel like that would have helped us a lot. If we had just set aside that time. In fact, when we did bring our marriage around and stuff, one of the key principles was allotting so much time a day for each other.
Yeah, probably in this last year or so, we've made up for quite a bit of the time we missed in communicating. We talk a lot now, but that's such an important thing, to talk to each other and to share with each other. And a lot of couples get too busy and they don't communicate with each other or take the time. And then there was also the differences in our families, and maybe if we had understood a little bit better let's talk about what was your family life versus what was my family life like. It was easy to condemn each other's families and say, oh, your family's that way, so that's why you're that way.
Yeah.
Kind of being mean to each other, when really if you could say, I want to understand you better, and tell me about your family, and take the time to talk about that more.
It was interesting. After, I guess it was about 8-9 months, I was going down the highway one day and found a pornographic magazine in the center line of the road on this lonely highway, and wondering what this magazine was, and picked it up and brought it home. And when you add that into the relationship, it just mucks up the water as far as communication. And thinking I wanted more connection, and maybe she was having problems connecting with me, and maybe this would help us connect better and feel more connected, which was totally the wrong thing to do.
So that was the start of the pornography problem.
Yeah.
Wonder who could have left that magazine in the middle of the road.
Yeah, how did that get there?
On a lonely highway.
Yeah. So yeah.
Wow.
And yeah. So that was another warning sign that it started right into the marriage at the very first year, when you have those kinds of things going on.
for me, when I was going through a lot of the abuse and things, I felt so all alone. And friends introduced me to pornography around the age of 10 or 11, and started viewing at that time. And I thought, well, these girls must really love their guys to do this with them, and I was longing for any kind of connection, feeling so all alone. To describe more how I feel, our generation, maybe many of you have seen the Cipher in the Snow. I was a Cipher in the Snow. I just had nobody that felt like cared about me. Even on the bus, they would segregate my brother and I and throw our books off, throw our hats off out the windows. They had special seats for us. We were just, they're just alone. It was terrible. And being the only two Mormon kids in the entire community, we were just eyesore icons.
So one thing that we've both been aware of is when we went into our marriage, we both had struggles in our lives. We had both gone through some type of abuse. A lot of marriages aren't like that, at least in our generation. I'm afraid they're getting more that way, where there is more of it. And I just heard something I was listening to that they verified that is becoming more of a problem, where there's more of it between both. But if you have one healthy spouse, one that, at least one of you that has come from a background that is more healthy, that can sure help. But when you've got two, and that's why we say, you guys, it is possible, because we both had so much against us, but we were here. I mean, look,
Yeah.
And we can honestly say today we're best friends.
Oh,
We connect with each other. We talk all the time. I mean, I love my husband, and there was the time I thought I can't ever call him my best friend, but I do now.
And then we're, for previous years, I'd rather be out hunting with the guys and think of all these guy friends where we could do things on the mountains and be away from our wives. It was like a joy to be away from them and separate. And then now, heck, we hate being apart, and we don't hardly ever turn the radio off. We're talking all the time.
That was another thing. That's another thing is media. When you do have time together, do you watch TV? What do you do? Because a lot of people will spend their time just watching a movie and call that time together, but they're not talking. They're not really communicating. That's a miracle for us. We had a television in our bedroom, and we watched TV all the time. The TV was on in the bedroom, and it's like, now we have a TV there, but it's never on. It's just sitting there. It's like, we probably should just throw it out. So,
find ourselves looking at different YouTube videos and going, hey, wait a minute, you got to see this, hurry, let's watch this, or no, you got to see this, can you believe this? As far as relationship stuff or things we're learning, it's all learning things.
Yeah, it's things that are helping a relationship. Although I have to watch more of his stuff than he has to watch.
Nah.
I'm teasing.
Oh, this is great stuff. I wish we had more time to go deeper on this. I know you've got a lot more to share, but just let me kind of recap a couple of things that I picked up. Communication is important. Communicate, first of all, anything at all is good. Any communication is better than none at all. But then again, the kind of communication you have really becomes critical. So there's two things on communication. And then other early warning signs would be just watch for those things that infiltrate your relationship, that put that wedge that drive you apart. So you mentioned the pornography was one of those things that got in there that just kind of put that wedge in there, started to cause that separation. So I know there's a lot more that you can, and you will get other opportunities to share. Let me move on to a little bit different angle here. You reached a point in your marriage where you thought it was over. When you're at your lowest point, and we're talking about resurrecting a marriage here. So when you felt like your marriage was dead, did you feel any hope at that point, either of you? And if you did have some hope, What was it that gave you that hope?
Do you want me to go first, or you want to go first? I had gotten to a point where we're really separated. I was working graveyard shifts for 4.5 years straight and feeling alone. We tried to have some connection time, and it just wasn't working. You know, with the kids' schedule going to school in the morning and things like that. And I got really depressed, and I got more and more involved in pornography and just kind of gave up on connection with Carol. And I just totally given up at that point. And then you want to tell about your experience?
So that's a hard question to answer because the order things that happened in. But I guess what I want to say about this is when you were, especially if you're in a really bad place where we were at, to where our marriage was almost over and things were so bad, I had to be very prayerful, very, very prayerful. I would not tell anybody to do anything that I did. I'll tell you what I did and what my story was, part of it. You can get the rest at the event if you come in January, but I'll give you a little part of it. But what the decisions I made to leave my husband were for, at the time, I felt it was for him, but it was for both of us now as I look back. But at the time I left, I really felt like I'm not sure if this is over or if I'm just supposed to leave for a while. So I thought it was over, and I was looking at the divorce papers, and something just couldn't bring me to fill them out. But the hope kind of came when I didn't talk to him for 2 months, and then the third month I finally talked to him, and he asked if he could come. He was in the car on his way before I said yeah, before I barely got yes out of my mouth. He was in the car on his way from California to Utah to see me as soon as he heard that yes. But as soon as I saw him, the first time that I saw him again, I realized that I did love him, and I didn't want it to be over. And so thankfully we were, it did work out. Maybe it's going to be okay at this point. But that gave us a chance when we got back together. For me, that separation was a strengthening for me to have the strength to stand up for what I needed to stand up for, and to be able to say to him everything that I needed to say so that he could understand where I was coming from. And you guys, he was so awesome about the way he handled it all. Now, we had a lot more to go. We had years to go still, but we were at least on the right track at that point.
I had no hope of getting back together. I felt like I had lost everything through my decisions and my behavior. I finally picked up the papers, which are huge stack of papers, to start filling out, trying to things. I'd made decisions trying to get money renting out of the house, and ended up getting in a Craigslist scam, lost $3,200, ended up having to start into bankruptcy, and had a terrible time getting back to work because I ended up in the psychiatric hospital, in fact in the padded room for 5 days, because I didn't want to live anymore. I lost everything that I stood for. I'd lost, and just hating myself for going to those levels. And like she said, when we got back together, before we got back together, I had decided, I'd visited with some gals online and things, thinking, we were going to start over. I was going to start over anyway, because we were just at a point where we couldn't communicate anymore, didn't have anything in common. And I realized, gosh, I have got to turn my life around before I find anybody good again. And so, luckily there were some good people to go back to church and friended me. I started with classes for pornography, and that was a hard step, facing it and letting everybody know this is the problem. But I just knew that if I wanted what I had dreamed of all my life, even knowing that I probably couldn't do it with Carol again, I had to change myself. And then when she said yes that finally started talking to me, and then she said the yes that night. My mom had sent me a whole bunch of CDs, church speakers and different things, and she'd been bugging me for a month or two. Sean, have you listened to any of these CDs? Have you listened to it? Mom, I'm too busy. You know how moms are. And I just don't have time, Mom. And I thought, well, I'm driving through the night. I've got to keep awake. I've got 640 miles to drive. I'll listen to one so that I can get Mom off my back. Well, it's like a Sherry Do talk. And I got through with that one. And I thought, I feel a little bit better. I wasn't so bad. I've got a ways further. I got to keep awake. I'll put another one in. And then it was another one and another one. And over 12 hours of driving, you can listen to quite a few. And and then I listened to some all the way back to after I visited Carol. There were just miraculous things along the way as far as the money to get back, the time with work to get back. It was just, Heavenly Father just really had a hand in that. But, I had to dig in. I had to give up all my pride, yeah.
But was it worth it?
Oh, man.
It was worth it.
Because I dreamt of it and had this vision of what our relationship could be like, when you're a kid, when you're in high school and stuff. And now we've far surpassed anything I could have dreamed of. So
I think part of what I'm hearing is when you reach a point where there's almost no hope, it's not a time to go inward. It's a time to reach out. And I know with Jennifer and I, we reached that point where I thought it was over for us. And I know it's a sinking, crushing feeling. And I ran out of our house on the verge of a nervous breakdown. And I remember I came back after running out, but I only came back to apologize to my children for ruining their lives. And then I was gone again because that's where I was at. I thought, it's gone. This is it. There's no hope. And at that point, and this is what I hear you're saying too, there is help for those who ask. And that makes me laugh because I'm going a little bit religious here, but I'm laughing because I'm hearing a line from Harry Potter. Harry, there is always hope at Hogwarts for those who ask, right? So, because I just found an element of my religion and my faith at Hogwarts. And so I hope that doesn't bother anybody, but that just kind of connected in my mind. But it's true. There is help for those who ask. And sometimes it comes from people that we see, and sometimes it comes from those unseen.
Oh, yeah.
And we have been taught that there is nothing so big, so broken, so apart that our Savior cannot fix. Nothing beyond his reach. Yeah. And that's critical.
We felt like when we got back together, one of the driving forces was at that time, there weren't a lot of husbands that had overcome pornography or marriages that had survived through it. And we thought, most times women thought, well, if a husband's involved, there's no way I can bring him back. He'll never recover. And we thought, we have got to get the message out that you can heal and you can recover. Heavenly Father hasn't given up on anybody.
That the biggest thing that I heard a lot in the beginning was, if you have a pornography addiction, it's almost not impossible to overcome it. And I just would not accept that because I don't believe that's true. I know it can be hard, and I know, but we're living proof.
Yeah.
We're living proof. Yeah.
So since we're on that, why don't we just we got to move along a little bit quicker, but just take 2 or 3 more minutes and explain to us, Sean, if you can, the difference of what it was like with your wife while you were struggling with that addiction and what it is like now that you're past that, you've conquered that.
When you're involved with it, it's like an endless thirst with pornography. You want more and more and more, and you just can't ever get enough. There's just this endless thirst. And what I realized later on was that that's just the dopamine in our bodies, the chemical dopamine. And when you have that out of your lives and you're connected with your spouse, you get 4 different drugs all at once when you have intimacy. And it is so much greater and so much more powerful. And you get, you start thinking alike, you start doing things alike. There's just a connection you can't even describe, and a power when you want to go forward to attack a goal or to do something new or something. When the two of you are totally in sync together and do that, it's amazing. But that pornography, you just can't understand what a dead end, empty road it is, where you just can't get enough.
Can I tell you the difference in what I've seen?
Yes, let's hear your side.
When he was in pornography, there was not a lot of respect. There was a feeling, that it was easy for him to get angry with me. Of course, I was, not always kind to him either, but his mind was so caught up in everything that he was doing, he couldn't think to even treat me well, a lot of times. But everything that I wanted him to be, he is now.
The one thing you find with pornography is you have to find excuses to justify yourself. She doesn't like me. She doesn't like me for this. I need to be with somebody else. Or you're constantly justifying those. One of the things that I've been working on is found that we have about 7 short-term memory banks real quickly. And if you've got pornography involved, you've got 3 to 4 of those memory banks totally full of trying to figure out the next lie, thinking about the next fix, thinking about all kinds of things. And so you have all these plugged up. And if you can empty those memory banks out, then you can start hearing all these great things about how to move your business forward, how to increase your relationship. You do better in your business, you do better in your workplace, it's just amazing all the other things when you unclog 3 to 4 memory banks.
Yeah, that's amazing. You mentioned the chemicals, what this does. Now, Jennifer and I, I'll just mention this really quick. We don't have time to go into this, but everybody knows that these serious clinical addictions cause problems. But there are what Jennifer and I call non-clinical addictions. And those are just patterns in our lives. And anything that is a pattern reoccurring is a non-clinical addiction. If it is causing problems in your relationships, those are non-clinical addictions. And the funny thing is, those small non-clinical things, they chemically alter your brain, just like the serious addictions. It's like if you've ever put on a pair of glasses that were a prescription that wasn't, either you didn't need a prescription at all or it wasn't your prescription, and how that distorts your view. If you leave those glasses on, your mind will adjust, your eyes will adjust, your body, your behavior will adjust to, I put on some glasses once and I felt like I was had to lean backwards to keep my balance. And that was just because of the glasses that I had on. If I would have left them on permanently, I would eventually been walking off to the side and backwards all the time to adjust to that. And then I would think that's normal. And all of my decisions would be based on what I thought was normal. And when we have addictions, clinical or non-clinical, it alters our brain chemistry. It alters the way we see things and how we respond to things. And we think we're making good choices because our brain chemistry has been altered. And so important things to understand. And you've had some really tough challenges to really understand what that is like in life.
Now I'm addicted to coming home, and when I have a really hard, stressful day, I can totally relax, and I just need that rejuvenation by being with her. Whereas, when I was hard into it, I'd wait to come home. I'd pull over in a parking lot and just coming home. But now I'm addicted to getting home.
And I believe that we can call good things, good patterns in our lives. We can be addicted to good things, and we should strive for that.
Yeah, healthy,
Definitely.
right? So
Yep.
That's right.
for you guys then, when you look at, your marriage from the beginning to where you are now, and it started out a little rocky. You were one of them that, like he said, the blissful marriage ended pretty quickly after you got married. But then you really, really took a nosedive. You guys went through some tough times. You were apart for months. You didn't know if you were going to be together again. So the question I have for you is, was it worth going through all that, especially when you can see where you are now?
Oh, definitely.
There are so many things that I've learned that I'm not sure I could have learned them any other way. Honestly, I feel like I am stronger.
I'm sorry,
We're still
your
on.
iPhone, could you mute, please? If you have an iPhone, go ahead and mute that for us.
Okay. Sorry. We just lost you for a minute. Went black. So we weren't
Okay,
sure
are we
if you
all
were
together
still-
now? I think we're
Yeah,
here.
we saw black for a second too.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
So you wanted to
yeah.
say something? Oh, if it was worth it.
Oh, yeah. You know, I just credit having to go through the tough times. We are so much closer than so many couples now, and we understand what it takes to be close. And, you know, when you see the contrast from, I think when you go through really lows, you appreciate the highs even more so. And you know what it takes. It's more clear as to what it takes to have a good relationship.
You know, one thing that I'll say is that, and this is my belief, whether it's true or not, it's what I believe. I believe we're put down here on this earth with God knowing what trials we're going to go through. And he gives us all of the tools and everything that we need to do what we need to do. And all of the things that we learned, this is our journey. This is what we were supposed to go through. We are perfect, whole, and complete, right? And, you know, we each one of us, our journeys, that is where we're supposed to be. And we can fight it and turn it into something way worse, or we can just keep trusting in God and saying, I don't necessarily like what I'm going through, but I'm going to trust you. It's just like when I left Sean. That was hard, you guys. It was like, I saw pictures of 50th anniversaries. You know, I had planned in my mind, we are going to be married for 50 years someday. We're going to have, and when I walked away from my husband, because I worked at Michael's a lot, and I saw all those things and people would come in and buy them. And I remember just feeling this broken hearted feeling of, I'll never have a 50th anniversary. I'll never, you know, it's like in my mind, I think my spirit always knew that I would be with my husband in 50 years. But at that point, I thought I wouldn't. So we are going to have that 50th anniversary. But trust those feelings. I think trust those feelings when you feel like I'm supposed to be with this person. Somehow this is supposed to work out. It can and it does, you know.
I was actually
feelings.
quite angry still after we got together for 3 or 4 years, thinking, well, you didn't have to do this. I would have changed, or I would have done this. And I was still fighting those feelings. And then I was praying about it, and I understood there's no other way I could have changed faster. And again, sometimes you need shock therapy, and that was shock therapy.
Yeah.
Turn me around.
You know, I believe women have the power to make huge changes for men, especially with this pornography addiction. I believe that we have amazing power, but we have to we first have to get ourselves in a place where we see our own self-worth and value, and then trust what we're told to do. And sometimes we have to do a hard thing. Sometimes we have to really punch these guys to get them to understand what they need to do. You know, just make sure that you are here, you know, make sure that you're very prayerful. That's all I can say. It's just make sure you're really prayerful with whatever you decide to do.
The very biggest thing to finally cut free of the pornography and never go back was when Carol sat me down one night and said, Sean, I am on your side. I'm not going to be condemning you. We are going to fight this together. You know, when you have temptation or things are hard, you come and talk to me. I'm not going to condemn you. We're going to fight this together. And I thought, oh my gosh, we are united. And there was just like this wave of pressure came off. And it was like so much easier at that point when we were going to fight this together.
And I remember when I did that, because I had a very big epiphany of I had realized I had caught him doing something again. But this time the feeling I had was, I'm fighting for my marriage. I'm not letting this destroy my marriage. And that was where I, was able to go in and say that to him, because I was committed at that point that whatever happens, I'm going to stick it out with him.
I'm so glad that both of you shared both sides of that, because I was just thinking that same thing. And it's not just with something like pornography. It's with whatever problem, whatever challenge your marriage has. If you can say, I'm on your side, let's do it together. If you can just throw the problems out in the open and say, this is what I am fighting, and be on each other's side, that is powerful. Powerful.
Haven't you seen kind of, there's a war going on
of
fighting between men and women, but the fight isn't the men and the women. It's somebody else. You guys know that.
That is so key.
Us. It's about him, so, and that's what's just really, I think, important for us to realize. It's not between us.
We've gone from being so totally separate and individual to just being so connected. We call each other at the same time. We like, oh, I was just calling you. I could see her phone call coming in. I'm calling in hers, and it's just quite the deal.
Yeah, is somebody on the phone? Could you please mute? We don't have some feedback here. So, I just wanted to say I love how you guys are examples of being able to get some of these problems out in the open. When we talk about even back Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and the adversary shamed them and, told them to go and hide because they were naked. And so in our lives, when we go and hide our problems, how in the world do we ever fix them? But it's scary. It's scary for Carol to be able to tell Sean, I can't live with this anymore. We're going to have some changes here, or this is not going to work. And she had to stand up for herself, stand in her own power to help start facilitating some of the change, as hard as it was, being apart for so long, wondering if it's not going to work. And then, as we've been saying, to realize, hey, we need to come together and stand together and fight what's going on outside of us, that's driving us.
When they're not that fear of being condemned and stuff. Oh my gosh, can you go forward? We just on so many more levels when we're not opposed. Like, I'm going to help you with this, or I'm going to do this. True charity has got to start right in our marriages.
With your marriages.
And unconditional love has got to start right there, or you're never going to understand it.
That's a huge key. And people really do want to help. People are afraid to talk about that there's a problem in their marriage, but you'd be surprised how many people are. One person opens their mouth and says something, it gives everybody else permission to speak. And I think that's really powerful.
And we need to create an environment. All of us need to help create that environment where it is safe for us to share our struggles. And let's battle together, all of us.
One quick thing from my near-death experience on this is I began to realize when I saw pure communication and how that we can look into each other's eyes and totally see everything that happens, that how archaic our language is here. I mean, we just are pecking on the wall saying, there's a deer over there, 2 hills over, you can have for your family tonight or meat. And if the veil were lifted and we could communicate, there would be no challenges here at all. We would totally understand each other. You'd think about, you get into a disagreement and you end up clear over left field and way far away from where you even started. And
so how many times do we have that argument, or even that time when you have this big crash? Now, obviously you guys know what's behind that, but generally speaking, sometimes if you think a few weeks later, you're like, what were we arguing about? We can't even remember what it was about. You just remember somebody blew up, and then you had hard feelings for a few weeks, and you're trying to get back together. Yeah.
It wasn't even what you started out on.
Yeah. And yet you can be really good at holding grudges in your marriage sometimes. Can't you?
Yes. Yes. You don't want to forget those hurtful feelings that came up a week ago. You want to, we tend to hang on to that for a long time.
But when you get to a point where, I remember where we got to a point where we had gotten to another level, and I literally felt this feeling like in starting a conversation that I knew was starting to go into an argument, that I felt like I don't want to go there anymore. In fact, I felt like I can't go there anymore because I'm on this higher level and I don't want to be on that lower level. And so there's something in you that just kind of puts you in a place where you don't want to do that anymore. And that's awesome when you get to that point. So
Yeah, that's an indication that you've been able to rewire your brain. You've taken over control of that yourself. So, awesome.
Yeah. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, we are so thrilled to have had this time with all of you tonight, and especially to have Sean and Carol share with us. And we're going to kind of wind up here for a minute, but I wanted to reiterate the idea of when our marriages are struggling, to not try and ignore and push things aside and somehow think they're going to get better. We need to reach out. And, that can be a mentor, a counselor, a coach, mom giving us CDs and things to listen to on our big drive, But so as we reach out, we definitely have some support to help heal and strengthen our marriage. And so we are super excited. Andy and I and Sean and Carol, we have some other friends that are actually putting together a marriage retreat to support you and your marriage. And so I'm going to screen share here for a minute. And we're going to share a little bit about this with you.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I wish we had 3 more hours with Sean and Carol to keep this discussion going.
Yeah.
We're learning so much. And then I thought, you know what? We do.
Oh, we do.
We've planned an event to continue this discussion, so this is going to be great.
Yeah, so you can hear more of their story. You can hear our story. You can hear some more fantastic tips. I hope you've taken good notes from listening to this. We've had a lot of great advice here and tips. But this Blissful Marriage Winter Retreat is going to be January 13th through the 14th. So a great way to start your new year. It's normally $80, but we have an early bird special going on for $59. This is going to be in Salt Lake City, Utah at the Little America Hotel. Not only will my husband and I and Sean and Carol be there, we have Tammy and Casey Ward from Hope Haven Events. They do fantastic events. We have Julie and Nick Brown, and Julie is a marriage mentor as well. And she's just super bubbly and fun, and we've been working on planning this fantastic retreat for you guys. And then there's Sean and Carol's wonderful picture, and then Brent and Amy Dickey will also be there, and then we'll have surprise guest speaker. So that's to be announced soon. And the other options we have is you can get a great discount on your room. So we're going to be getting a room for our Blissful Winter Marriage Retreat, right? And so you have some choices on there, but you get a discount on those rooms. And we even have, if we'll scroll down here, an option for a couple's photo shoot. Now, I remember the last time my husband and I got our photos taken together, and it kind of helps you reconnect, to have some romantic types of photos. And so that is super fun, and I'm going to give you the information here of how to find that event online. So if you go to juliebrowncoaching.com, and there's an events tab. Okay, so under the events tab, you'll find the Blissful Marriage Retreat. But we wanted to give all of you who are on tonight, also who are listening to the recording, our friends and family code, which will actually save $10 off the retreat. Now, here's the trick. We have the early bird price right now, guys, $59. And as of December 3rd, that's going up. So if you will register for the retreat before December 3rd, not only do you get the early bird price, but you can put the code in. This is friends and family, just like it sounds. Friends and family is the code, and that's going to give them $10 off. So it's like $49 for your ticket, and that's for both of you. That's for the couple, right? So we wanted to offer that to you. And then right now, I wanted to offer another incentive of somebody that's listening to this recording or that's on this call or this webinar live. I'm going to give away this free best-selling book to the next person that registers for the Blissful Marriage Winter Retreat. Now, this book is written by Gerald Rogers. It's the marriage advice I wish I would have had. And when I was writing my best-selling book a couple of years ago, 12 Weeks to Greater Peace, Joy, and Love in Your Family, I have a whole section dedicated to the marriage relationship. And there was a hole in that section. And I saw Gerald Rogers had some 20 marriage tips. And they come across Facebook. And everybody was talking about them and sharing them. And literally that went around the world. His 20 marriage tips, it was viral. I don't know, it was 20,000 at one point. I don't know what the total was in the end. But it was, his advice was so popular, he was asked to go to New York to the Today Show. And they interviewed him. So I thought, well, this is pretty cool because he gave me permission to put his 20 marriage tips in my book. And then he took it and made this entire book called The Marriage Advice I Wish I Would Have Had. So if you guys, whoever's on this webinar listening to the recording, if you want that book, go in there and get registered for that retreat.
Be the next one.
The next one that registers for that retreat, I'm gonna personally give you that book when we're down at the retreat. Be a fantastic gift for you and your spouse to be able to read that together. So once again, we want to thank Sean and Carol, and I want to give you their contact information. They are marriage coaches. They do really fantastic retreats as well. We were privileged to spend some time with them recently. And so their website is stillwaterexperiences.com. And then if you would like to send them a personal message or you have questions for them, you can email them at stillwaterexperiences@gmail.com. And then
Jennifer, we'd like to give away something tonight too here.
Okay, fantastic.
So the second one that'll register, if you'll find their name for it, Carol's getting it.
So we want to give you a gratitude. Well, as a couple, we'll give you a gratitude keychain and a gratitude necklace. So that is something that you can wear to help remind you to be grateful for things in your marriage or things that are going on.
We have a write-up of how to use that.
And so that's what we're going to do for the second person. That
is an awesome gift.
Fantastic.
And can I just do a little quick preview thing? It will just take me less than a minute on something I wanted to show on. Is that okay?
Sure. So you need to
screen.
All right. Let me stop and share.
Did you have more, Jennifer? I didn't want to.
I just have one more. So you guys.
Okay. So this is just a little preview to get your minds thinking. So what does a bag of rocks, a box, and Tic Tacs have to do with each other and intentions? And if you come to the retreat, you'll get to find out. So we're not going to tell you. That's just something. You come to the retreat and you'll find out what all these have to do with something. Okay. And we're going to have some drawings at the retreat too.
So say it again. A bag of rocks, a box.
A bag of rocks, Tic Tacs, and a box.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, fantastic. I am so excited for that retreat. And with all the speakers we're going to have there, it's going to be more of a connecting type retreat. Just as Carol just shared some fun items to think about how they're related. It's It's not going to be lecture style. It's not going to be, we're going to fix your marriage. It's going to be come and have fun and hear our stories and do some activities that are going to connect us to closer spouses. In fact, Friday night is going to be date night style. And so that's going to be a blast. And then if you get a room, you'll have time to go and be alone and share some of those close times together. And then the next day, come back and join the group and more fantastic speakers. And don't forget, there is the photo shoot option that you can add on when you register for the retreat. And so, yeah.
She clues in. She knows when I'm going to interrupt, so now she pauses. I just want to say, I was thinking about this retreat, and I'm not directly involved in putting this together, but I'm close enough to it that I'm seeing what is happening. And I just want to say that I don't think there's any event anywhere that a person can go to and have more fun and get more useful information with less time and money commitment than this event that's going on right here in January. Yeah. This is
absolutely
so much for so little. It is just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we are only charging tickets enough to cover for the cost of the event.
That's right. Yeah, nobody's making any money on it.
Speakers are not getting paid, and we're also giving you a discount on your room. So it's going to be fantastic, and join us. So let me see if I can get my next little slide. It's probably been sitting there too long. Let's see. Sometimes it does get stuck on me. Oh, there we go. Look, there we go. Okay. So the last slide here is just contact information for Andy and me. So like I mentioned, we are certified mentors, and our website is Be the True You. That's the letter U. .com, and then our emails are the same. So Andy at bethetrueyou.com, Jennifer at bethetrueyou.com. So if you have any questions for us, we'd love to answer them. And also on our website, there is a tab for marriages, and we love to do strategy sessions. So if you feel like that you need some help right now and you want a little more clarity in your marriage, we invite you to just go to our website, and there's a survey, and we have a limited number of spots available for those strategy sessions. So if you're interested, go to our website, bethetrueyou.com, and check that out. So we'll go ahead and stop our screen share here. We'd like to ask Sean and Carol if you have any words in closing before we sign off for the night.
We just want to tell you guys thank you for inviting us to do this. We love sharing our story, and we love being able to help people. So
we always have so much fun with you guys when we get together.
You guys, this is going to be such a fun thing. We've been with Jennifer and Andy and some of these other couples at some other retreats, and when you leave them, you have so many more friendships. And I really think that will help marriages too, because you've got that connection with other people. You can talk to them and open up, and I just think the more connections that we make, the more marriages we're going to save. So let's all get out there and do it, right?
That's right.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, well, I'd like to wish everybody a blissful marriage. Please join us at the marriage retreat in January. And yes, contact any of us if you have questions.
Yeah, let's meet in person in January.
Great.
And thank you, everybody that came. We sure appreciate you being here tonight. So
yeah, thanks. Well, good night to everybody. Have a great night.
All right. Good night.
Bye.
Okay, bye.